right, Lord, I thank you for who you are. We thank you for your son Jesus and everything that he's done for us on the cross, shedding his blood, paying the price for our salvation, for our redemption. We give you all the honor, all the glory. We thank you for the Holy Ghost who anoints us, who empowers us, who is Christ in us, the hope of glory. And God, I pray for you to give me what to say, how to say it, who to say it to. Lord, I ask you to speak to me and speak through me. And may I open my mouth as your oracle in Jesus' name. All right, you know what I'm saying, on this one, on this one here, you know what I'm saying, I just want to title it, you know what I'm saying, A Land in Turmoil. You know what I'm saying? It's a land in turmoil. And you know what I'm saying? And it's more to come though. You know what I'm saying? It don't take a psychic. I don't even think it take a prophet. You know what I'm saying? The writing is on the wall. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just about, it ain't just about certain people, you know what I'm saying? It's about the nation. It's about holiness, righteousness, and it's about sin, and it's a nation that's turned its back on God. And, you know what I'm saying, it's the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. You know what I'm saying? We pushing towards a one world government. We pushing toward a new world order. You know what I'm saying? We pushing toward the beast kingdom, the Antichrist kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And all that there. You know what I'm saying? I done had a couple dreams that I believe to be prophetic. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to speak on that. I'm going to speak on what I believe, you know what I'm saying, is coming to the world, what's coming on the land. You know what I'm saying? And, of course, I'm going to talk about living for God in the midst of, you know what I'm saying, whatever's going on. And I just want to start off with these scriptures right here. You know what I'm saying? This is a land in turmoil. You know what I'm saying? But I want to read this right here. I'm going to read Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 through 27. Then I'm going to go to Luke chapter 6. Now Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. Therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him, or I will compare him, unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. See, you need to you need to be built on a rock. You know what I'm saying? You need to be built on a rock. I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded, or it was built upon a rock. He said, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Yeah, he said, upon this rock I build my church. The church is built on a rock. And even the gates of hell can't prevail against it. Okay. For it was founded upon a rock. So it stood when all the craziness came against it. Yeah, he said, once again, I'm going to shake the earth, and the only things that's going to remain is the things that can't be shaken. He said that shaking signifies a removal. You know what I'm saying? A removal of the things that are temporal, that can be shaken. And the things that's going to remain are the things that can't be shaken. The stuff that's founded upon a rock. Hey, okay. Verse 26, he said, and everyone that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, hear the word, know the word, but doeth it not, okay, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. So it was no solid foundation. Built his house upon the sand, and the rain descended. It came down, and the floods came. See, there's a lot of flooding going on. But God said He's not going to destroy the earth with a flood, but you should still take note because it's out of the ordinary. Okay. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, all these tornadoes, hurricanes. The hurricanes done took a break for a little while, but they'll be back. You know what I'm saying? And the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Great was the fall of it. And then this is pretty much the same thing, just Luke's version. Luke chapter 6, verses 46 through 49. And I'm going to go into that Hebrews 12 where he talk about that shaking. You know what I'm saying? I was talking about that shaking at the beginning of the year. I believe 2016 is the year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you like this. I believe Obama is the Antichrist. But I'm going to tell you like this. If he leaves office and the next president is elected and actually gets in office, is actually elected and actually put in office, because they elect them in November, but they don't actually take office, I think it's in January. You know what I'm saying? They elect them in November, and I think they actually, what is it, the inauguration? Something like that. It's some kind of official ceremony or whatever where they actually put them in office. And I think they term actually starts in January, I believe. So if another president is actually elected and actually gets in office, like January 2017, I'll throw that Obama Antichrist stuff out the window. You know what I'm saying? Because God didn't specifically speak to me or specifically show me, you know what I'm saying, that Obama was the Antichrist. But I believe that. You know what I'm saying? I don't base theologies and stuff off other people's dreams and whatnot, but I do believe God can reveal stuff in dreams. And he ain't even gave me no dream about Obama being the Antichrist. But just, I believe he the Antichrist. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say that. I believe it, man. You know what I'm saying? I believe it. And just knowing Obama, man, I'm telling you, that guy, man, hey, you know what I'm saying? I believe he the Antichrist. Y'all talking about Trump. Y'all talking about Hillary. We gonna see, though, because time is short. You know what I'm saying? It's June now. Election in November. And, you know what I'm saying? The next person will be in office, if it even happens, they'll be in office 2017. So we gonna see shortly. You know what I'm saying? We gonna see shortly. You know what I'm saying? But I believe everything finna collapse, man. Everything that's not built on a rock, I believe it's finna collapse. And it ain't God judging the gay people. It's God judging the whole sinful nation. But it's not just the judgment of God. It's the fulfillment of prophecy. Because the elite, the Illuminati and all that, they already got the next step. We pushing toward a one world government. But they got to open the people up to receive it. And what's finna be unleashed in this nation, and I also believe other nations around the world, it's gonna be internal strife with the Muslims versus the nations. Not all Muslims. You know what I'm saying? But when you really get to the heart of Islam, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in Islam is not violent. But I believe when you really get to the heart of Islam, it calls for violence against the infidels. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. I really hadn't studied it like that. You know what I'm saying? But I believe it's really a violent religion when you really get down to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I ain't studied the Quran and all that like that though. I ain't studied it at all, really. You know what I'm saying? But them guys get their theology from somewhere. And I done seen people, show stuff out the Quran where it called for violence and all that. But, I mean, you can pull stuff out the Old Testament where it called for violence. But if you don't understand the New Covenant, then you won't, you don't understand it. Even though that violence was in the Old Testament, that's not what God has called us to under the New Covenant. Even though it's one book, it's two covenants. That's the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So if you just look at it at face value, you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't understand that. So that's why I had to be careful in my judgment of Islam, because I don't know the in-depths about the Quran. You know what I'm saying? The Bible, you got to have understanding or you'll misunderstand it. You know what I'm saying? It's of no private interpretation. You know what I'm saying? This is a more sure word of prophecy. You know what I'm saying? And it's of no private interpretation. You know what I'm saying? It's not of human origin. Holy men of God, you know what I'm saying, spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? But uh, yeah, you know what I'm saying, ISIS and all them guys, they get their theology from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's the Quran, or they got another book that they go by. They get it from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But but hey, you know what I'm saying? It's the extreme Muslims, you know what I'm saying, versus the nations of the world. You know what I'm saying? They getting busy in Europe, all them countries over there, Germany and Spain, and you know what I'm saying, all them countries over there, the Turkey and all that, the Muslims is all in the mix. Extreme ones too. You got the peaceful ones, but then you got the extreme ones, and they trying to take over nations and overthrow governments. It ain't just the Middle East. Matter of fact, they already done enforced Sharia law and took over a lot of nations in the Middle East and Asia, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and all that. And Barack Obama, y'all know he a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? But see what it is though. I think I was supposed to get to this script, so I might get to it. Hold on. Let me just talk for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Let me just talk for a minute, though. You know what I'm saying? Obama, man, I believe he a Muslim, but I believe he the Antichrist. You know what I'm saying? I believe all this stuff is a setup. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let me go and get into this. Hey, hey, hold up, man. Let me go and get into this dream, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me get into this dream. I had two dreams. You know what I'm saying? Last week, I had a dream I was in Africa, right? But I'm like in the like the Serengeti. Like I'm like in the jungle in Africa, right? But it's not really me. I'm just God just showing me something in the spirit. So what I see is, you know what I'm saying? What I see is like the predators were all fighting. Like, you got predator animals that really usually stay out of each other's way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got lions, you got elephants, you got a hippopotamus, you got alligators, you know what I'm saying? They all at the top of the food chain. And they usually stay out of each other's way, right? But something had happened and the predators were all fighting. You know what I'm saying? The predators were all fighting. But the only thing I remember was, I remember the lion, he was like roaring, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lion was roaring and he was holding his own. But then something happened and I guess the alligator got a hold of the lion. And what I seen was the alligator, because I guess they was at like a little pond or something. You know what I'm saying? They was on land, but the water was right there. Like you see how them animals be they be drinking out the like a little pool of water. But I'm talking about in the jungle though, not like a swimming pool. You know what I'm saying? But the alligator, the animals will be drinking the water and the alligator will creep up and get them, you know what I'm saying? But like I guess on the edge of the water, and I didn't write this one down. I wrote the other one down though. You know what I'm saying? But all these predators was going at it, and the lion was roaring, and he was holding his own, but something had happened. and the alligator had, I guess the alligator got a hold of the line. I didn't see this, but what I saw was like the alligator swimming off, and he had like the lion's arm in his mouth, but it had been disconnected from the lion's body, and like the alligator just swam off, but he had the lion's arm in his mouth, like you know how the alligators have the stuff in their jaws. You know what I'm saying? Like he had got a hold of the lion, tore his arm off, and swam back. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I've seen. But it was crazy because I was just like, I felt like it meant something, and I didn't really, I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? All I can say is like the big dogs of the world. But I ain't really know too much about that. You know what I'm saying? So I just left it with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But then I had another dream. The day of June 13th, that morning, I had a dream right here, and I wrote it down. Okay. And this is what I seen in the dream. So I'm gonna tell you what I think both of the dreams meant. What it come down to is the Islam, the extremists versus America. That's what I think it all come down to. But let me show this dream right here. I had a dream where Muslim terrorists, they shot up an army or a navy military base. It was some kind of military base. They got off of a train that was close to the base, and they used military hostages to get inside the base. And there was a shootout in the inside. And what I had seen was like even at hospitals and stuff, you know, they have a booth, and you got to, you know, you come in your car and you got to check in at the booth, you know what I'm saying, and then you go past, right? So what I seen in the dream was like a military base, and I had never been to a military base or nothing like that. So what I seen was, it was like a booth with a security guard, like, but you got to check in before you can gain entrance. But what I had seen was like a person in the military, you know what I'm saying, they was checking in, but it was like three people in the car with them, but they had like held them hostage, and they used them as a hostage to get in. So like this person that's got access to the military base, they can gain entrance, but they being held hostage, and the other people using them to get in. So the person who had entry, they gained entry to the military base, but then these other people were with them. Like they had used them as a hostage to get in. You know what I'm saying? And then there was a shootout in the inside. And then and then on the inside though, it's like we was at a cafeteria, like a big cafeteria that would be like at a high school or something. But it was the military base cafeteria. And what I seen was, it was like a front line. It was two front lines. You had one side, and I guess that represented the Muslims. Then you had the other side, which I guess represent the Americans. And say you got like 10 people on each front line, and they both had machine guns, and they was facing each other. You know what I'm saying? So they all shot each other, and they all killed each other. So they all start shooting, everybody got hit, and then they just like went stiff and just fell backwards. You know what I'm saying? And this is in my dream. You know what I'm saying? But then after them two front lines fell down, it was just chaos after that. And then what I seen, it was a dude, I don't know who it was. I'll tell you about what I think the interpretation was later. I don't know, but this is what I think. You know what I'm saying? And it was a man. I don't know nothing about him. It's like I didn't catch. It was no description in the dream, but it was a person. And then somebody just walked up to him, and they just shot him in the head. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like chaos. So what I think that dream means, and this is what I wrote, there could be an upcoming war between Muslim jihadists and America. In the dream, people on both front lines were killed by each other, and there was chaos and people being killed. I also saw a man get shot in the head. Now I'm just gonna tell you what I think. I ain't got nothing to lose, and I'm real careful about saying God said this, cause if it ain't for show, I'm not gonna say God showed it to me. Even dreams, if God don't tell you it's gonna happen, it may not happen. Even when you have a dream, you got to get a for show interpretation. So I'm just giving you what I think, cause you know what I'm saying. I'm just giving you what I think. I could be wrong. Even when God show you something in the spirit, you know what I'm saying. It's something that might happen. It could be something that's decreed and it's gonna happen no matter what, or it could be something that you need to pray about and you can stop it from happening, or it could be something that you can pray about and something might happen, but it might not be as bad as what you seen. You know what I'm saying, in the dream. It could be a warning. You know what I'm saying? So dreams, even when you see something in the spirit, that don't mean that it's guaranteed to happen. It could be something that's conditional. You know what I'm saying? It could be something bad, but if you repent of your sins, it won't happen. It could be something you need to pray about it, and God will shut it down. It's the plan of the devil, and you pray about it, and God will stop it. Or it could be something that's decreed, and you don't even need to pray about it because it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's different things. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I seen in the dream. This is what I believe. I believe the man that got shot in the head was Donald Trump. But I'm gonna tell you this: this whole election thing, I think it's just a big stunt. I think it's just like a reality show. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just like a reality show. You know what I'm saying? Get you all caught up in it, who you for, who you against. Donald Trump, I think he's that character that's the bad guy, but people got love for him because he say stuff that other folks won't say because they too politically correct. So I think Donald Trump, cause I think they both in on it. I think they both part of the Illuminati. You know what I'm saying? Me, or you could say part of the establishment, you know what I'm saying, part of the elite. I think they both just two masks on the same face. You know what I'm saying? Because if Donald Trump was really that much of a threat, I don't think he would have made it this far. Donald Trump is that character that's supposed to be like anti-establishment, the one who's not under the control of the elite. You know what I'm saying? But I don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna tell you this though. I think because he plays such a good character, they gonna kill him. You know what I'm saying? But I think let me think. Yeah, I think they all. I think it's just a big act. I think he's that bad guy though that people got love for him. You know what I'm saying? But he say stuff that other people feel the same way, but they don't want to say it. And the other politicians too politically correct. But a lot of the average, common, everyday people, they relate to him. You know what I'm saying? They relate to him. And but I think he gonna get killed though. But even if he was elected president, he's still under control too. You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of them just free like that. You know what I'm saying? And the Democrats, they have no moral. They don't have no moral compass. They don't have no standard of morality. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, all that election stuff, I think it's just like a reality show. You know what I'm saying? To get you emotionally invested. Oh, I love Hillary, or I hate Trump, or I love Trump and I hate Hillary. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. Get you all like a reality show. Get you all emotionally invested in it, but it's really just an act and a show. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna see. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. But you know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna be a full out war. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking at World War III like, Russia gonna make a move and Russia and China against America, but I don't look at it like that no more. Cause if you look at, see, Russia and America and China, they playing games. But at the end of the day, they trying to avoid war. Because, China and them in the South China Sea and all the drama out there. And then America and Russia supposed to have tension and all that. But, you know what I'm saying? I think that's all a game, too. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? We all got a lot to lose. America, Russia, China, we all got nuclear weapons. North Korea, they seem like they just a loose cannon, unstable. But I think all these nations is really trying to avoid war. The only ones in the world who really want a war are the Muslims. They the only ones who really want war. Everybody else really trying to avoid it. Yeah. Help me to help me to say what I want to say, Lord. You know what I'm saying? But check this out. Remember how I said that they had to use one to get in, right? They couldn't get to the military base on their own. They had to come in with one who was part of the American military. That's how they got into the military base. Cause he was like a hostage, but you know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, this is what I seen in the dream. It's like they was holding him hostage, and he the one who got him in. Let me try to give you a good example so I can just make it real plain. Let me think of something. Uh, let me think of something real plain if I can. I guess I'm gonna leave it like that. I can't think of no other example. But like on the military base, only the military people got access to the base, right? They the only ones that can get in. So these people had like used this military person who had access to the base. And they came in, they were hidden, but they used him as they used him to get access. You know what I'm saying? Like they held them hostage and made them go into the military base, but they were hidden, but they were with them, and that's how they got in. You know what I'm saying? So I think Obama was the one that they used to get in. Because Obama keeps saying, and he's kind of right, you know what I'm saying? But Muslims, the Islam extremism, it's a threat. Now I know you don't want to just, but he don't want nobody to think it's a threat, and I think it's a conspiracy. Now the guy who shot up the gay club, I don't even think he was really connected. You know what I'm saying? That's like somebody, you not really in a gang, you not really a crip, you know what I'm saying? But you just go shoot up the mall and you be like, yeah, this for the Crips, this for the Crips. And you just shoot up the mall. But you really not even a Crip, you know what I'm saying? But you just bring, you know what I'm saying? You just giving the Crips the credit. I think that's how that was when he shot up the gay club. He just saying, I pledge allegiance to ISIS and I'm going to kill all these folks. But in reality, he not even connected with ISIS like that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's how that was. But see, Obama don't like that kind of stuff because it opened up people's eyes. It make them think about Muslims and, you know what I'm saying? It make them think about the threat of Islamic extremism. But if you look around the world, it's plain to see that they really want war. You know what I'm saying? ISIS and all the, not just ISIS, but all the Islamic extremists, they really want war. Everybody else in the world playing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else in the world playing. But they not playing. They really want war. But they not dumb. See, you can underestimate the enemy. See, we underestimate it. We think, well, that's in the Middle East they doing all that. And we don't look at them like they technologically advanced. We look at them like they just out there wilding in the desert. No organization. No coordination. No technology. They just out there wilding in the Middle East somewhere. But in reality, In reality, they smart. In reality, they calculated. In reality, they technologically advanced. In reality, they not just in the Middle East. In reality, they done gained a lot of ground in Europe. In reality, they done gained a lot of ground in America. In reality, they done gained a lot of ground in Australia. In reality, they've strategically planted themselves in nations around the world with a plan to take over. You know? Now, I'm not saying when all this stuff pop off, I'm not saying that nations ain't gonna fight each other. Like, I'm not saying that Russia and China won't attack America. Because Russia, they done already made alliances with a lot of the Islamic nations. So I'm not saying that it's not going to be countries fighting against each other, but what's going to set off World War III? It's going to be Islam, the Islamic extremists. Because they done planted themselves all around the world in different countries. And they got a good foothold. That, you know, that they may not be the majority population and all that kind of stuff, but they got a good foothold. They got a good foundation planted in these nations, especially Europe, man. They got a lot of power in Europe. But what you don't know is they strategically planted themselves all in America. But they not stupid. They not that lone wolf stuff, they not on that. The ones who do that lone wolf stuff, they the ones who not really a part of it. They the ones who just give them credit. You know, I shoot somebody and give credit to ISIS. You got a few of them, but that's not really what you need to watch out for. Because what's really going on, they got something planned, they got something coordinated, and it's going to shake nations around the world. Because it's going to catch people off guard. And see, Obama, he don't want people to be, he don't want people to look at the Muslims like a threat. But in reality, I believe they got secret signals that they giving each other. You know what I'm saying? I believe when Obama got to be president, the Muslims all around the world knew what time it was. They knew Obama was one of them. And then in Daniel chapter 11, it said, talking about the Antichrist, or the king of the north. But really that king of the north, king of the south, I believe those are principalities. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's just one king and, you know, one king versus another king. That king of the north, king of the south. Then he talk about in Daniel the prince of Persia. I think that's principalities. But it talks about the Antichrist in Daniel chapter 11 from about verse 30 all the way through Daniel chapter 11, starting at verse 30, all through the rest. You know what I'm saying? That's the Antichrist, I believe. But and then it says that first of all it said he gonna exalt himself as God. You know what I'm saying? The Antichrist ain't gonna come on the scene as the Antichrist. He gonna come on the scene as a regular man. You know what I'm saying? But then he gonna transform. You know what I'm saying? There's something gonna happen, and then he's gonna exalt himself as God. You know what I'm saying? And then that's why it said, watch this, Revelation 13, it said he was given space to continue 42 months. So he was already in power. But then once he declared himself to be God and he had authority over the whole world, he was allowed to continue them 42 months. So, yeah. He come on the scene as a regular man because talking about the Antichrist, it said he going to exalt himself above God and all that kind of stuff. But then it said, it said he not gonna honor the God of his fathers. Now check this out. Fathers, the forefathers. This what I believe. You know what I'm saying? The thing about prophecy, you can speculate and you can seek God to understand it, but the thing about prophecy, you never know until it's fulfilled. And that's if you in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? But before the prophecy is fulfilled, you don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But when it happens, if you in the spirit, the Holy Ghost will let you know. You know what I'm saying? Remember this scripture in the Bible? That's what that is. Just like when the day of Pentecost came. Joel chapter 3 or chapter 2, he said, I'm going to pour my spirit out on all flesh and all that. Nobody really knew what that prophecy looked like. Nobody knew that was going to be the baptism of the Holy Ghost after Jesus died. It was, you know what I'm saying? But Peter, being in the spirit, when it happened, he said, this is that. By the Holy Ghost, when the prophecy was fulfilled, he knew what it was. The Holy Ghost said, that's what it was. This is that Joel talked about. So the thing about prophecy, you can seek to understand it, but you never really know until it happens and it's revealed to you by the Spirit. You know what was prophesied in the scripture? This is that. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know till it's fulfilled. But you can speculate and seek God for understanding. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I believe. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, but it said he not gonna honor the God of his fathers. I think his fathers is the forefathers. The other presidents of America that preceded Obama. He's the only Muslim president. That no other forefathers have been Muslim. And they probably wasn't real Christians neither. Maybe some of the early ones might have been, but the later ones, but at least they honored God with their words. You know what I'm saying? But Obama, he the only one, he the first Muslim president. It said he was going to honor a God of forces, a God of war. None other than Allah. If you ask me. You know what I'm saying? And then, but then it said he going to exalt himself above God, as God. You know what I'm saying? That's when he takes on, you know what I'm saying? He takes on his position as the Antichrist. Talk about that in what? Thessalonians, you know what I'm saying? Somewhere. First, second, something. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Second Thessalonians chapter 3, maybe. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know off the top of the head. But it talk about it in Daniel chapter 11. He going to exalt himself as God. You know what I'm saying? And then it's in other places in the scriptures. I could look it up, but I'm not finna do all that. You know what I'm saying? Just read Thessalonians. You know what I'm saying? 1 Thessalonians 4 is the rapture. And I do not believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. You know what I'm saying? I believe in the rapture right before the coming of Christ. We meet him in the air. You know what I'm saying? And then we come back down with him. That's what I believe. You know what I'm saying? Separating all the sheep from the goats. You know what I'm saying? All that. He coming to judge the world. You know what I'm saying? But 1 Thessalonians 5, you know what I'm saying? He said, you know what I'm saying? The time and the seasons, you know what I'm saying? You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come upon the world as a thief in the night. You know what I'm saying? But not us. We children of the day. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? We have an idea. No man knows the days or the hour. No man knows the day or the hour, but we kind of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We have a discernment of the times and the seasons. Yeah, I think it's 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. You know what I'm saying? He talk about the man of sin must be revealed, and he going to exalt himself above all that is called God. Daniel chapter 7, the abomination of desolation. Daniel chapter 11. Because it talks about him honoring a certain God, but it also talks about him exalting himself to be God. So he going to start off as a regular Muslim, but then he going to become the Antichrist. Yeah. gassed up by Satan, whose coming is after Satan, with all, what he say, power and lying wonders, you know what I'm saying, deceivableness of unrighteousness, you know what I'm saying, people giving over to strong delusion who didn't have a love of the truth. Yeah, I believe it's Obama, man. And I believe this whole thing is a setup for the Muslims. I believe the Muslims they've been planning and plotting since 9/11. They've been planning and plotting for a long time, but now it's the time. I believe they gonna make their move while Obama is in office, and I believe this is what Obama wants. I believe they got secret signals, and ever since Obama been in office, they've been planning and plotting and strategizing, and they've been coming over here peacefully, but they've been setting up shop, getting ready, getting ready. And I believe they gonna unleash some hell on this nation. I believe they gonna catch a lot of people sleeping who underestimated. Some people don't even know. Well, everybody knows about Islamic extremism, but a lot of people, they still don't think it's an imminent threat, though. They still don't think it's an imminent threat. They still think it's something far off. They still think them guys is ain't what's the word? Like they not technologically advanced or technologically literate. Like I want to say savages, or like just brute savages. Like they don't think they know about technology and biological warfare and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They don't think they up on all that. You know what I'm saying? That they think they all third world. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how real it is. So they going to catch a lot of people sleeping. They going to catch a lot of people off guard. But I think they going to unleash some hell on this nation. Matter of fact, the alligator with the lion's leg in his mouth, I think that lion is America. And we've been sleeping on the Muslims. Because you know how the alligator creep up on you in that water. You know the alligator's a threat, but you think he far away. You in that watering hole drinking water, but you don't know the alligator creeping up on you. And then he high. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. That's how it is, man. Yeah, cause America top of the food chain. But the Muslims, Islamic extremists, they top of the food chain over there where they at. Conquering. They over there conquering. And ain't easily taken out neither. But see, I believe the world could have crushed Islam a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I guess in the name of peace and, you know, religious freedom. But they ain't never, the extremists, they've been about war for a long time. But it's always been something distant. You know what I'm saying? But that club shooting, it was a warning. First of all, it's a warning to sinners. You know what I'm saying? You need to repent. And I don't care what Hollywood say. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't get right with God, which, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't get right with God, you in hell. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You know, people don't want to talk about that. But if you didn't get right with God, you in hell. And most people don't have a chance to get right with God when they die. You know what I'm saying? When you die in the moment, like now, don't get me wrong. I believe even in your last seconds of life, if you call on the name of Jesus in faith, in sincerity, I believe you can be saved. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. But how many people get that chance? How many people get that chance? You know what I'm saying? How many people God even come on their mind, and do they even have a chance to repent? Because see, he say Jesus coming like a thief in the night. But what he mean is, when Jesus come, it's going to catch people off guard. But who is the thief? The devil. He the one that come to steal, kill, and destroy. He's the thief. The thief cometh but for to kill, steal, and destroy. So the thief like to catch people by surprise. Death like to catch people by surprise. When them folks was in that club, they didn't think they was finna get killed that night. You know what I'm saying? They in there doing what they want to do, living how they want to live. Anybody try to correct them, say they need to repent, they say you're judging me. And then I heard somebody say, people who hate the truth think the truth is hate. You know what I'm saying? People who hate the truth, they think the truth is hate. You know what I'm saying? They think the truth is hate when you tell people you need to come out your sin. You need to get right with God. You know what I'm saying? When you tell some people, you know what I'm saying? Some people think the truth is hate, but that's because they hate the truth. People who hate the truth think the truth is hate. When you tell folks you need to come out your sin, they say you're a hater. You hate. That's not love. But that is. That's why Jesus died, so we could be saved. You know what I'm saying? But we got to believe on Jesus. We got to have faith in Jesus. We got to make a commitment of our life to Jesus. We got to turn from our sin. You can't serve two masters. You can't be the servant of Christ and the servant of sin. Jesus said he who commits sin is the servant of sin. I think in John chapter 8, he say the truth make you free. And they saying we ain't never been in bondage. He said he that committed sin is the servant of sin. You know what I'm saying? You can't be the servant of God and the servant of sin. You can't live in sin. You can't live in sin and think you a child or a servant of God. You know what I'm saying? Your lifestyle shows your faith. Your lifestyle is the physical expression of your faith. Just like Jesus was the physical expression of God. He said, if you seen me, you seen the Father. John 10:30, he said, I and my Father are one. He said, if you seen me, you seen the Father. I want to say John chapter 14. Jesus was the express image of the Father. He was the physical manifestation of God. The Word was God. The Word became flesh. Yeah. And dwelt among us. We beheld His glory. As of the only begotten. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But watch this. Your lifestyle is the physical expression of your faith. Yeah, you got to be born again. He said, as the John 3:8, he said, the wind blows where it want to go. The wind blows where it want to go, and you can't see it. He said, it's the same when you're born of the Spirit. But watch this. You can't see the wind. You can't see which way it's going. Watch this. But you can see the effects. When you see the leaves in the trees moving, you see the flowers leaning to the left and to the right. You see the flowers swaying. And you see the leaves and the branches moving. You can't see the wind, but you see a physical manifestation of it. You see the effects of it. Same thing when you're born again. You can't see the Spirit come in me. You can't see it when God give me a new heart. But you see the effects. Because I live different. My lifestyle has changed. Things I used to do, I don't do no more. The way I used to talk, I don't talk no more. Places I used to go, I don't go no more. Been delivered from the action and the desire. Talking about being born again. You got to be. You got to be. You got to live for him. Your lifestyle is the physical manifestation. It's the express image of your faith. It's the express image of your new life. It's the express image of that spiritual change that happened on the inside. It's that new life that you live. It's that new behavior that you exhibit, man. And it's from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? It was a change on the inside that reflects on the outside. Hey, talking about being saved, man. Talking about being born again. But hey, when Obama came in office, though, I think him and the Muslims got signals. You know what I'm saying? Like secret signals. You know what I'm saying? Like two gang bangers. You know what I'm saying? You throwing up this and that. And people who gangbang know what that means. But regular folks, they don't know what that is. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? I believe when Obama got in office, certain things that he say, and to everybody else it just seemed normal. But to them, it's a war cry. For real, I swear, man. I swear. Everybody else think it's normal. But in the Muslim world, it's a war cry. It's a battle cry. So ever since he been in office, I believe the Muslims just turned up the heat. And they began coming over here and immigrating here. Immigrating with an E. And immigrate with an I is when you move out and go somewhere else. Immigrate with an E is when you coming in. You know what I'm saying? So I believe they just started coming over here quietly, peacefully, but they plotting. They planning. They scheming, sleeper cells, but they all connected. You know what I'm saying? This next thing that the Muslims do, it ain't gonna be no isolated incident like 9/11. This next thing that the Muslims do, the extremists, but really, hold on, I'm gonna say that in a minute. I'm gonna say what I was just finna say in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, the extremists, I believe they all connected in different cities. Like the Russian mafia, like the Russian mob. You know what I'm saying? Like, even some gangs, you know what I'm saying? They connected it from city to city, from state to state. Like the cartels. You know what I'm saying? If all them other, if the gangs can do it, if the mob can do it, if the cartel can do it, why can't the Muslims? See, they not as like backward, like technology wise. See, we think they backward. Americans think they backwards, but they showing the world they not backwards. They just as up to date as we are. Cause people been underestimating them. And that's what's gonna hurt. That leg in that alligator's mouth was America. America gonna be crippled. America gonna be crippled. But it's all a part of the plan. It's all a part of the plan of the Illuminati. The plan of the elite. Even study them 3 world wars by Albert Pike. They really want Israel, but Israel don't play like that. Israel won't let them come in their country. Israel too hard on them security-wise. Israel ain't gonna sleep on them because Israel know what time it is. Israel know how many enemies they got. They know who all want to kill them and blow them off the map. Israel don't play that. Israel be all in your business. Think they finna let some Muslims come in there and be planning and plotting, and Israel be on them like white on rice, like flies on, you know. Hey, Israel be on them. Israel don't play like that. Israel don't play like that, man. They can't do Israel like that. You can't come in like a friend when you really an enemy. Israel gonna find you out. They don't play games with terrorism. They'll be all in your business and they'll shut you down. Why you think they ain't blew up Israel already? The Palestinians, that they can't get no good attacks on Israel. Israel don't play. If you destroy Israel, you're going to have to destroy them from the outside. You're not finna come in and destroy them from the inside out. They not going to let that happen. Not like that. But see, that's how they going to get America. They already on the inside. They already in position. They already in position. And this next move, see what that guy did shooting up the gay club? He not really part of them. He just respects them and he got some beliefs like them. But in reality, they finding out that he was a homosexual. They finding out he was a homosexual. See, you might hate, but hate, there's no victory in hate. The only victory is in Jesus Christ. You can hate homosexuals, but if you got that spirit in you, if you bound by homosexuality, hating them is not going to set you free. You might hate sin. You might hate your drug habit. You might hate that you were abused. But just because you hate it, that's not going to set you free from that bondage that came as a result of it. Only freedom, only victory is in Christ. The best victory you can have is victory over yourself. Victory over your own demons. You know what I'm saying? Victory over your own pain. You know what I'm saying? And that comes through Christ. Because it's all about victory over yourself. Denying yourself. Bringing this body under subjection. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Hey, this thing real though, man. America is caught sleeping. America is caught sleeping. And it's finna get, I believe it's finna get crazy. I believe the Islam extremists, they got something up their sleeve, but I believe it's gonna be nationwide. Whenever they do something, I believe it's gonna be catastrophic. I believe it's gonna be in multiple cities, probably on the same day, in multiple cities, in different states. And it might even be in different countries around the world, all on the same day, that Muslim day of terror. That's what I heard. And it's going to start off with a day of terror, but then it's going to turn into it's just going to turn into wars within these different nations, because the national governments are the ones who going to be fighting them. So it's going to be like a civil war in all these different nations, because they done came into all these different countries and they've planted themselves strategically. And they going to set it off all at the same time, probably on the same day, all in different places. And then it's basically going to be a little war in all these different nations. It's going to be the Muslims versus the nations. The extremists, Islamic extremists versus the governments of these nations. And America going to be caught off guard. Yeah, America gonna be caught off guard, and so then it's gonna be wars, and this stuff it's gonna go on for a while. It's gonna lead to I believe that's gonna be when you see the martial law, or maybe not, maybe limited martial law. Maybe limited martial law. It's gonna be just like riots breaking out everywhere. And the Muslims, they going to be killing all kind of folks. You know what I'm saying? That they going to be killing, period. They going to be shooting out with the law. They going to be shooting out with the military. They going to be shooting innocent civilians. And it's going to shake the nation. And I believe it's gonna be like a short-term war. It's gonna start off with a bang, that day of terror. And I believe the same thing gonna happen in other nations. It could all be on the same day, just to set it off. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, the nation's gonna react to it. You know what I'm saying? And the extremists gonna go to war with the government. Now, I don't know how long that's gonna last. But that might be what starts the martial law, the government takeover, the militarized takeover of the nations. And then I believe around that time, could be before, could be after, but around that time, I believe that's when the dollar gonna collapse. So all these things gonna come at the same time because it's really a conspiracy. It's really a conspiracy. The Illuminati know, the elite know. Obama was their chosen man. Obama was chosen by the devil. And the Illuminatis, they Luciferians and all that, so they ride with it. They done put their money on Obama because the devil done chose him. That's what I believe. And the Muslims knew what time it was when he got in office. They was already planning, but they knew they had a guy that was going to ride for him. And he done rode for him the whole time. He done rode for him the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I had that dream the same night when I found out about the guy shooting up the gay club. I had that dream about the military shootout and all that the same night. You know what I'm saying? The morning of June 13th. But I found out about it that day, June 12th. But it happened early morning hours that Sunday, June 12th. But I believe that's what's going to happen, man. And I believe that's what's going to lead to the martial law and just all kind of chaos. It's going to be the Islamic extremists versus the government versus the people. Then the people versus the Islam extremists. But then it's going to be all kind of chaos in the nation. I believe that dollar going to collapse sometime around that time. And it's going to be worldwide chaos. You got the Islamic extremists fighting against the governments, fighting against the nations. Nations throughout Europe. Nations in Australia. Whatever nations they haven't already conquered. They going to be fighting, the Islamic extremists fighting against the nations. Nations all around the world. Probably some nations in South America they trying to take over too. You know what I'm saying? And I believe they going to set it off. Probably all on the same day, all around the world. Or if not the same day, I believe they going to set it off all around the world in a short period of time. Maybe like a week. And the same thing happening in America, you're going to see happening in the UK. In Germany. You're going to see it happening in Australia. Probably all within the same week, if not the same day. It's just going to be like a revolt. It's going to be like a uprising. Trying to overthrow the government and take over. Because they want war. That's the difference between them and everybody else. If you can't tell yet, they want war. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they want war. But they not these backwoods, third world country type folks that we think they are. They up on their technology too. They smart too, see. America sleeping on them. But they are smart. They cunning. You know what I'm saying? They got this thing planned out. They strategic. Just like that alligator when he creeping up. They strategic. But America's asking for it because we in sin. We're asleep. People want to party and live homosexual lifestyles and fornicate and party and focus on money. Be in love with money. Caught up in reality TV. You know what I'm saying? Caught up in ungodly music and ungodly living. Living for ourselves. Caught up in drugs and partying. Caught up in our own little life. not thinking about God, not thinking about Christ, not thinking about having our house in order just in case. Having a form of godliness but denying the power. Having God's name in our mouth but he's far from our heart. Hey. Using faith as a slave to get me what I want, materially, physically, not even concerned with spiritual things. Trying to use faith to feed my flesh. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff going on. People are asleep. You know what I'm saying? People are asleep. You know what I'm saying? And this is what's really going on though. But when Obama was elected president, that was their guy. That was their man. And another thing, Obama, we know he don't have no honor for God, no honor for Christianity. But I seen something. I don't know if it had something to do with the World Trade Center or something. It had something to do with something. But he gonna read the scripture and the Bible, and the one he chose to read, knowing he don't honor the word of God. He don't honor God nor the word of God. But he want to read that scripture that say, "Be still and know that I am God." See, people didn't even catch that. He's already exalting himself as God. He was being funny. He was being facetious. He was being facetious when he did that. He want to read that Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." See, you got to catch that. A man that don't honor God nor his word, but you want to pick that scripture to read? The Holy Ghost showed it to me. But we gonna see, man. Hey, if the election does happen and another person is put in office, Hillary or Trump or anybody else actually steps in office and takes that position of office in January 2017, I throw my Obama is the Antichrist stuff out the window. But I don't think it's gonna be no election. And if by chance it is, whoever's elected, I don't think they'll actually step foot in office. I don't think so. But we gonna see. But yeah, it's real. The war is gonna be Islam, extreme Islam, versus this nation, the government, the police, the military, and the common people, civilians. It's going to be Islamic extremism versus this nation and I believe other nations in the world. Because they trying to take over and they really want war. They not playing with it. They not trying to avoid it. They pushing for it. You know? And then at the same time, all this chaos breaks out due to Islamic extremism and these wars, these internal wars and these uprisings are set off. I believe around the same time that dollar is going to collapse and it's going to be worldwide chaos and confusion. And I believe Trump is going to be killed in the midst of this. I believe Trump is really just playing a role. But just because he played a role well, I think he's going to get killed behind it. You know, a lot of these rappers be playing roles and they get killed behind it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these rappers be playing roles, but they get killed behind it. I think it's the same with Trump. You know what I'm saying? I think he just playing a role. But I think he going to get killed behind it because this stuff is really finna go down. I believe this stuff is really finna go down. And it's not going to be no type of a game. But if you got Christ, you got the solid foundation. See, the devil is out to steal, kill, and destroy. If you're not right with God and you get killed, your soul going to be destroyed. But if you right with God and the Lord does allow you to be killed, to be persecuted unto death, to be martyred. If the Lord does allow you to be killed, you're not going to be destroyed. You're going to go be with the Lord. To be absent with the body, to be absent from the body, is to be present with the Lord. You can't destroy a saint. You can't destroy no real Christian. A person that's really saved, you can't destroy them. He said, fear God, don't fear man. Man can kill the body, but they can't kill the soul. You ought to fear God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. And I don't care how sweet they were, I don't care how nice they were. If you didn't have your business right with Jesus and you died, you went to hell. Because them people died in that club, and I seen something somewhere talking about, and I don't mean to be, you know what I'm saying, hard-hearted, but I just got to be real, man. Now, you know what I'm saying, my condolences go out to the families of these people. You know what I'm saying? Because God don't even take pleasure in the death of the wicked. So the most wicked person in the world, God is not smiling when they die. Even God, it doesn't please God to see them die. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, God allowed it. I'm not saying it's the judgment of God. But it's a sign of what's coming on the nation. And it's not even the judgment of God, but when God take his hand off the nation, and this is just the most people that got killed at one time. But look at what's been going on all year. Even last year, all the shootings in public places. Look at the weather, the tornadoes, the flooding, the blizzards, the ice storms, the snowstorms, the hurricanes, the shootings. Look at Chicago every weekend. Look at the shootings in public places. People just full of the devil, getting possessed. People going on killing sprees in public places. Walmarts, schools, colleges, in the workplace, malls, courthouses. You know what I'm saying? That's where we at. That's what happened when you push God out and he take his hand off the nation. You know what I'm saying? He take his covering off the nation. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I believe the Muslims gonna set off some major stuff. They gonna set off internal wars within the nations. And they coordinated. They calculated. They not just fresh out the desert like you think they are. You know what I'm saying? They up on their technology. Chemical warfare. You know what I'm saying? Guns. Bombs. You know what I'm saying? All that. You know what I'm saying? We think they stupid. We think they backwoods. You know what I'm saying? We think they third world. You know what I'm saying? But who you think helping them? America helping them. They always done got their weapons and stuff from us. Way back from the Taliban and all them. They had got their weapons from America. Matter of fact, I believe they getting money from America and funding from America to this day. But you know how they do with money. You funnel money and you can't trace it, you know. You know how that go. Trace weapons, you know what I'm saying? They funnel all that stuff. But you can't trace it back. Because they don't put that in the media. But they got some real stuff coming on the world, coming on these nations. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, I believe that America's going to be crippled, wounded, caught off guard. But I believe it's all a setup because all that chaos and confusion has to come in for the one world nation to be established. And when all this is said and done, I think Islam is going to be extreme Islam. I think it's going to be pretty much crushed. I think it's going to be pretty much crushed. Because all this chaos and all this Islamic extremism coming against the nations, it's going to give us a reason. And the economic collapse, it's going to set the stage for the one world government and the one world currency and the one world religion. It's going to set the stage for all that. All the nations going to be networking, trying to, because we all have a cause to unite against Islamic extremism. So all the nations going to get together, put forth their military power together. Certain nations who need help crushing the Islamic extremism in their nation, we going to send help. You know what I'm saying? So all the nations going to join together to form a one world currency after the dollar crash, and also to crush the Islamic extremism. And then Islam going to be crushed. I believe a lot of Christians going to be killed. And I believe what's going to happen is you're going to have to pledge your allegiance to the state, to the one world government, you're going to have to pledge your allegiance to the nation, to the state, to the one world government. You're going to have to pledge your allegiance to them to show them that you're not a terrorist. If you don't pledge your allegiance to the state, to this one world government, or if you don't pledge your allegiance to the government, because the government going to be a one world government, but it's going to be broke down in regions, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to pledge your allegiance to I like to call it the state, but I'm talking about the government. So you're going to have to pledge your allegiance to the state to show them that you're not a terrorist, a Islamic extremist. But a real Christian, I ain't going to say a real Christian, but a mature Christian knows about the mark of the beast and all that kind of stuff. So the Christians, the real ones, if they have knowledge, even if they don't have knowledge, I believe the Holy Ghost will stop you or warn you. So the Christians ain't going to pledge allegiance to the state because we know about the one world government and the mark of the beast and all that. So the Christians ain't going to pledge their allegiance to the government. And the whatever Muslims that are left, the extreme ones, they not going to pledge their allegiance to the government. And just the rebels, certain people, militia type people, the people who just don't want to pledge their allegiance to the government, the people who just don't trust the government. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of backwoods people like that. You got a lot of country people like that might not be Christians though, but they just don't trust the government like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but the Christians ain't gonna pledge allegiance to the government because of spiritual reasons like the mark of the beast. But other people, they gonna have reasons for not pledging allegiance to the government. You know what I'm saying? But I believe the government gonna be killing them people. I believe you're gonna have militias who fight against the government just because they don't want to be a part of that system. You know what I'm saying? That's the one world system. But you're going to have people who don't want to be a part of it. Christians are one of the groups who ain't going to want to be a part of it. But you're going to have other people, whether it's for religious reasons or just you want to keep your personal independence and you just don't want to be a part of the government like that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be certain people who don't want to pledge their allegiance to the government, to the state. And I believe those people are going to be hunted. I believe they're going to be locked up. I believe they're going to be killed. Talking about them FEMA death camps with them guillotines in America and them coffins. You got to look it up. Look up FEMA camps, FEMA death camps, FEMA coffins, FEMA and guillotines. You can look all that up, man. You know what I'm saying? Google it. YouTube it. You know what I'm saying? But I believe that's how it's going to go, man. And I believe Obama going to be the head of it. And once he get all that power and all that adoration Oh, you know what I'm saying? All that adoration, he done brought peace to all this chaos and all this disorder, and Obama's got all the answers, and he was going to start off as a Muslim, you know what I'm saying? And he had them to fulfill the plan, the part of the plan that they was needed for. But then once that's out the way and the one world government is formed, I believe that's when he just going to unveil himself, reveal himself as God. With the false prophet, the Pope, egging them on, backing them up. Because all the influence that the Pope got, he going to use it for Obama's benefit. Say, this is the one you've been waiting on. This is God. I'm telling you. That's what I believe. I can't say God told it to me. I can't say I told you the dream I had. You know what I'm saying? I prayed for an interpretation, but I can't say that I heard the Holy Ghost just flat out tell me. You know what I'm saying? This is what I think. This is what I believe. I can't say God told it to me, but I believe God influences me in my thinking and stuff like that, but I can't just say God said it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But think about it. And if you see it come to pass, Jesus said, I tell you these things before. I tell you these things before they come to pass, so that when they come to pass, you might believe. John chapter 13 and John chapter 14. You know what I'm saying? That's what I believe. I believe the Muslims are finna set off wars in the nations around the world. But I believe in the end, Islamic extremism is going to be crushed. But I believe America's going to be crippled, wounded, caught off guard. And I believe chaos is going to ensue all around the world. And I believe the dollar is going to collapse in the midst of all this chaos. If it don't happen before, I believe it'll happen after. Around the same time, all this stuff happens. And I believe just this is going to be global chaos. But I believe the nations of the world going to unite to crush the Islamic extremists. And I believe the nations going to form that one world government, that one world currency. And a lot of Christians going to be wiped out, killed. A lot of innocent people going to be killed. And a lot of people who don't submit to that one world government system going to be killed. And then after all that's formed, I believe Obama's going to be the head. And I believe it's going to come a time that he just says that he's God. He exalts himself to be God. With the Pope, the false prophet, backing him up totally and completely, giving him all the influence he got. He gonna use all his influence to say that Obama is God. And they gonna have lying signs and wonders and miracles backing him up. I don't know what kind of signs, wonders, and miracles. The Bible say he gonna make fire come from heaven. So when the fire is coming from heaven, they go, oh, that's God. The fire coming from heaven, that's God. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness. Because if you don't know the truth by then, you probably never know. If you don't know the truth by then, you bound to be deceived by the lie. If you don't know the truth by then, and you still happen to be alive, you bound to be deceived by a lie. Not to mention, your life is going to be very limited if you don't have that mark, that chip, whatever it is. Your life going to be very limited, and it's going to be very hard for you. You know what I'm saying? You got to be ready for that, because I don't believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. You know what I'm saying? He said, through much tribulation, we must enter into the kingdom of God. You know what I'm saying? If it come down to it. He said, herein is the patience and the faith of the saints. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. He said, but then he said, blessed are those who die in the Lord. You know what I'm saying? For they works do follow them. Yeah. The church of Smyrna. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's going to get crazy. And that's the tribulation. And God going to be judging that beast kingdom at the same time. You know, so it's going to be wild. But I believe we there. I could be wrong. But we going to see what happened in these next coming months. You know what I'm saying? We going to see what happened in these next couple months, because I don't believe it's going to be no election. And if it is an election, I don't believe that whoever wins the election is actually going to take power and step into office. I don't think it's going to happen. But like I said, we going to see. But it's a land in turmoil. You need the solid rock. You need Jesus. You need to give him your heart. You need to give him your life if you haven't already. And if you have, you need to make sure you stay with him. You need to make sure you stick with him. You need to make sure you finish the course. Because once saved, always saved. Don't play yourself. I don't care what Joseph Prince said. Hyper grace. You know what I'm saying? Hyper grace. You know what I'm saying? You mess around and fall from grace if you think it's a game. You know what I'm saying? But it's a land in turmoil. And what you've seen already, that's just the preliminary. You know what I'm saying? What you've seen already is just a preliminary. It's not just coming on the homosexuals, it's coming on the whole nation. You need to have God's covering over yourself. You need to have God's covering over your family. You don't want to get caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. Because they'll do the same thing to a church that he did to a gay club. They'll do the same thing in one of these mega churches. They'll do the same thing at the mall. They'll do the same thing at a crowded airport. At a marathon. I'm telling you, yeah, if you can't see the signs, you blind. Almost every major thing had to do with Islamic extremism. Because they really want war. They not playing. They not bluffing. It's not a hoax. It's not a joke. And if you think they stupid, you stupid. If you think they backwoods and they third world, you stupid. If you think they not planning, plotting, strategizing, if you think they not well connected and well coordinated, you stupid. If you think it's just over there in the Middle East, you stupid. Yeah. Yeah. It's a land in turmoil. And we ain't seen nothing yet. We ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till they all do the same thing at the same time. When they come out the woodwork. Hey, it's real, man. You need to have your house in order. Be right with Christ. Just in case worse come to worse and you die. Just in case worse come to worse and death catch you by surprise. Because I believe some Christians gonna die too. I believe some real Christians gonna die. Because God gonna take some home. But they gonna be with the Lord though. But I know God, he gonna take some home. But most of these people gonna be destroyed, going to hell. Like they say, busting hell wide open. Because you got to go through Christ, and it's got to be a real commitment. It ain't enough just to agree that Jesus rose from the dead. It's got to be a commitment of your heart, a commitment of your life. To believe on him, but to believe on him is to live for him. It's one and the same. To have faith is to obey God and his words. It's one and the same. There's no separation from faith and obedience. There's no separation from faith in Christ. There's no separation of faith in Christ from a commitment of your life to Christ. There's no separation from faith in Christ, or there's no separation of faith in Christ from a total surrender of your life to Jesus. There's no separation. It's one and the same. A commitment of my life, the way I live, my relationship with him, my living holy, my walking in obedience, my turning away from sin. That's one and the same as faith in Christ. Yeah. Yeah. You have to make that plain, because people are real quick to say, I'm saved by faith, which we are. I'm saved by grace, which we are. But what does that look like? See, God is not a God of incompletes. See, your lifestyle is the completion of your faith. That's why James chapter 2, he said, works, faith was made perfect or made complete by works. My faith is complete when it manifests in my lifestyle. My faith is complete when it manifests in my relationship with God, that causes me to turn away from sin and to live a totally committed life to Christ and follow him completely. That's faith. That's complete faith. And God don't work with incompletes. He don't work in decimals, 0.5, 0.8. I gave him 0.5 of my heart. I gave him 0.8. I gave him 0.2. God don't work in decimals. He don't work in fractions. He don't work in percentages. You can't be 80% saved. I gave God 75% of my heart, 3/4. I gave God 2/3 now. He don't work with none of that. He works with wholes. WHOLES. You know what I'm saying? A whole heart. I got to give him my whole life. That's faith. Anything else, you playing yourself. Ain't no point in deceiving folks. Ain't no point in trying to be all easy on folks. We might as well tell them the truth. We might as well tell them the truth if we really trying to see them get saved. Ain't no point in me making you think you're saved and you're not. It's not once saved, always saved. That don't mean you saved just because you got baptized in the Holy Ghost. You got to continue with God. Don't you know you can get baptized in the Holy Ghost and backslide? It happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me. You can't just look at no one event that happened in your life and think you always saved just because that one event happened to you. You said a prayer and you felt God come in your heart, and you got to continue. But we not of the type that draw back unto perdition, see? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It's possible. So let's go on with the Lord. Let's go on unto perfection. Yeah, let's believe to the saving of our souls. Let's be faithful unto death. Yeah. Not loving our lives unto the death. Let's overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. Yeah, let's go all the way with Jesus. It's got to be a total commitment. You got to lay down your life at his feet and take up his life. Take up your cross daily. You heard what he said. I'm going to end it with this. The scripture out of Luke that I meant to read. Luke chapter 6, verse 46 and 49. Here we go with that Lord, Lord. He said you got to do the will of God. Matthew 7:21. Those that do the will of God. Matthew 12:50. It's somewhere in Mark chapter 3. Those are the ones that's my father and my brother and sister and mother. The ones who do the will of God. Can't say you got faith in him if you won't do his will. Can't say you got faith in him and if you won't live the way he told you to live. Can't say you got faith in him and you don't want to let your sin go. Can't say you got faith in him and you want to be the king of your own life instead of letting him be the king of your life. Yeah, ain't no point in calling him Lord, Lord if you won't do his will. Okay. Luke 6:46. And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently, intensely upon that house and could not shake it. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. And the things that's going to remain are the things that can't be shaken, the eternal things, the spiritual things, the things that are of God, of Christ, the word of God. Heaven and earth going to pass away, but my word shall never pass away. Okay. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built an house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. Immediately. And the ruin of that house was great. And the ruin of that house was great. And I'm going to close the book. You know what I'm saying? Hebrews chapter 12, he talked about that shaking though. He talked about that shaking. You know what I'm saying? In Haggai. I don't know if it was Haggai chapter 1 or Haggai chapter 2. And then Paul quoted it, you know, in Hebrews chapter 12. I believe Paul wrote Hebrews. They say the author is unknown, but just the writing style, it remind me of Paul. So I'm going to give credit to Paul for Hebrews. But he quoted in the Hebrews chapter 12 talking about that shaking. But it's a shaking. The nation's going to be shaken and crippled. But then it's going to evolve. It's all for the sake of an evolving into that one world government. And I believe Obama is the Antichrist. But like I said, if the election really happens and somebody else really takes office, I'll throw that out the window. But we going to see and time going to tell. You know what I'm saying? But it's a land in turmoil. You know what I'm saying? Best thing to do is put your faith in Christ. Let him be the anchor of your soul. So when the winds blow, you won't be tossed to and fro. You'll be founded. You'll be rooted like a tree planted by the rivers of water. You know what I'm saying? And if you were to lose your life, you good. You be with Christ. You know what I'm saying? But if not, know that you got hell to pay. Literally. You know what I'm saying? It's real. You know what I'm saying? And y'all underestimating these Muslims. Y'all gonna see though. The world gonna see. Cause they gonna shake it up. They gonna lose in the end. They gonna be crushed. But they don't care. They want war. They want war. And they gonna shake the nations. They already been shaking the nations. They gonna shake them some more. They gonna shake them some more before they get stomped out. And the world ain't gonna be the same when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, you're gonna see a one world government. You're gonna see a one world currency. You're gonna see a one world religion when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? It's a land in turmoil. And what you've seen ain't nothing but contractions, birth pains for what's about to really go down. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I believe. This is what I think. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna see. Yeah. That's it.